All right. Let me ask you a question, Steve. Why is bleach named bleach?
I don't know. I don't think that's a good reason.
It's because the main character drank bleach and imagined
And that's
everything.
How he got his power.
Everything that happens afterwards is imagined while he's in a coma.
I don't think there's a medium state. I think you just died.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of your favorite podcast, the Super Agile Bros. I am your host, Steve. I used to have a bouncy ball collection when I was a kid, but my brother took it. And let me go ahead and introduce my co-hosts. First, Brad. Hello, Brad. What do you have to say for yourself?
Man, I ain't got nothing to say. I got all the bouncy balls. You know what I'm saying? I got like 50 of them. If you need some, holla at me.
How dare you rub that in my face?
He did.
Holla at me. On the low.
He's your estranged brother who stole them.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I know people all over Atlanta. Bouncy balls on deck.
And let me also introduce the magnanimous, the immaculate, the improbable, the not particularly elderly, Kyle. Hello, Kyle. Where were you yesterday?
That. Thank you for that incomprehensible introduction.
That was a lot of superlatives.
I'm flattered.
I'm
flattened by that introduction.
I'm impressed that you have that many words in your vocabulary, honestly.
Yeah, I wrote them down ahead of time so I wouldn't forget.
Smart.
They're not in his vocabulary.
Very nicely done.
No, so I want to reach out to our listeners. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in our foolishness. You may notice something is different today. And this is what happened. Brad actually paid me $500 to run the show today. And
no, I threatened to break his legs, and he said, "I relent. I need these legs. Legs.
Yeah, I do need my legs. I only have the one spare.
In the midnight hour.
I can't have him out here breaking my legs.
One spare.
Yeah,
irresponsible, Steve.
If he breaks both my legs, I'll just have one leg and.
No, that's what the arms are for. Just handstand everywhere.
That's what I keep saying. People keep asking, "Gee, Steve, how do you swim in a pool when your leg at a Charlie horse?" And I'm like, you just swim with your arms. It's not that hard.
Haven't you ever drowned before? It's simple.
I have a story about one of our mutual friends, me and Steve, who goes by the name of Jordan. I'm going to call him out by his name. Where back in the day when we were in college, like I was breakdancing a lot, and he used to come around and, b-boy breakdance with me and my crew, and he was learning, and he was trying to get really good at handstands. And there's this like one area on campus called the Burger Bowl, and it's like a big field, and he would practice doing handstands like on his way to class and back to the dorm. And there's
his backpack on?
Yes, he would have basically everything. And there's a guy, shout out to James, shout out to James, one of the guys who worked on campus as part of the custodial staff. He was a super cool dude, that's my brother, James. And we were talking one day, and I was like, "Yo, James, do you know Jordan?" He's like, "Jordan, oh, is that one of your roommates?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know him. He always the one busting a handstand in the middle of nowhere, ain't he?" Like that's how he knew him, just busting handstands.
So known for handstands.
Yeah, Jordan was known for busting handstands in the middle of nowhere. So shout out to Jordan in the handstands.
Shout out to Jordan. He's never going to listen to this podcast.
At least he wasn't known for like busting his head because he was failing at handstands.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I'm sure he did. Let's be real. I'm sure he did it first.
Blood all over the sidewalk.
He's a talented guy. Yeah, and I just want to thank everyone again for being here. I want to apologize because as I look at my recording, I see how like blasted out my my Audacity, my microphone input is. So I don't talk very loud usually. It's hard for me to tell how loud is too loud.
Yeah, you got that host energy going this time.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
Welcome.
So speaking of host energy, let me go ahead and jump into what we're going to be doing today. So you guys might have heard Sony dropped the bomb. It was sick. I'm just kidding. They did a state of play, and there are mixed results, mixed reviews online. So this bad boy is about 20 minutes long. So you may think that we're going to have a shorter episode today, but Brad made a mistake. we're about to have 2 hours of random tangents and chaos. So prepare yourselves.
That's what a normal episode is.
Everyone tuned out.
If you're listening to this podcast, if you expect any type of like buttoned up, like
coherent,
yeah, come on, like you're in the wrong place. You need to go.
It's your own fault.
Watch.
Bruh.
I don't know, somebody else, Joe Rogan.
Man, I work from home. My pants aren't even buttoned up. Let's be honest. I got my gut spilling out.
Maybe we shouldn't be honest.
Yeah, you keep that to yourself.
You never answered my question, Kyle. Where were you yesterday?
What are you talking about?
I asked Brad what he had to say for himself, and I asked you where you were, and you didn't reply.
I don't have the answer to you, Steve.
All right, he didn't answer either. That's fair. Cool. Well, what do you guys? Let's just jump in, right? Let's tangent the tangents. Let's get back to the show. Get this host energy toned down a little bit. And just to start, I was going to ask, what did you guys think of the show overall? I won't ask for a rating because I don't fly that way, but if you want, you can give it a rating.
Well, I'm all about that rating life, so I'm going to give it a rating nonetheless because that's how I relate with the world.
Lead with the rating.
I mean, I'd give it like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Like, it's mediocre. Like, it wasn't absolutely garbage, but like, it wasn't anything that like, honestly, I was like watching it and I genuinely was like, yo, if I didn't watch this, I probably would have had the same feeling. Like, it wouldn't have changed my life in any
Your
way
emotions
or capacity.
Did not fluctuate.
Yeah, so it was like, it was cool. There was some stuff that like, I guess we'll get into the different games, but I had some new thoughts about some of the games that they've shown multiple times at different conferences. And and then there was, I don't know if it was like dinosaurs and kaijus was for some reason the thing that I just remember the most from it because
it's pretty memorable.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, overall it was okay. Like it wasn't absolutely boo boo, but it was like nearing, like if it was like one less game or like what I'll give it more points for is that they're kings of just like, hey, this is the next game coming. It's cool. One little quip and it goes straight to the game. It was like very concise. So I appreciated that. I appreciate that. Like, so yeah, that's my thought.
What about you, Mr. Kyle?
I definitely share a lot of the same sentiments. I'm glad it was only 20 minutes because they're pretty bad about inflating these different showcases and stuff. But like you said, I my life wouldn't have been any different if I hadn't watched it. I guess I just wouldn't be able to contribute to this conversation, which I wouldn't necessarily see as a detriment because
wow.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of, I guess, value to me for a whole showcase. If I don't know, maybe I was expecting more. I don't know how to satisfy me at this point with showcases, to be honest. But like I would, for the sake of ratings, I'd give it the same because I feel like it was middle of the road as far as a showcase. I don't think it was good or bad. It just kind of exists.
Like I wouldn't downvote it, but I wouldn't upvote it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty much my the reaction I got from the people I was watching with was like, man, that really was disappointing. I wasn't disappointed. I think for me, the fact that it's so short and so packed in with stuff with not a lot of stuff in between, like Brad was saying, really helps because the pacing, even if you're not really excited about the games, the pacing of like the announcement of the trailers, I thought kind of makes it seem exciting even if you don't really care.
I can see that.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, we can just jump into it now. That first game, Exo Primal, with the dinosaurs, I actually think that looks really fun. Or at least really cool. I don't know how fun it looks, but really cool.
Yeah, why?
I think it's easy to say. Or my first feeling was like, really, dinosaurs? Like, why dinosaurs? But then the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, there's not a lot of games where you fight dinosaurs.
Why not dinosaurs?
Yeah, like that's actually not that common. I feel like I'm just done with dinosaurs because of the Jurassic World movies that have come out recently, but in terms
Even
of
those
games,
have a couple of years in between them.
It's been a solid 3-4 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's a new one coming out like right now or soon, upcoming. But yeah, there's not a lot of games like that where you just fight dinosaurs, and so once you kind of remove that, I chalk that up to a gimmick, oh, cool dinosaurs, whatever. And then once you remove that, it's like, okay, it's like a cooperative mob slaying, maybe something like a Back for Blood, except hopefully good situation.
So for me, once I saw Capcom, I was like, okay, I think I'm good with this. Because one of my favorite games that I've mentioned before is, I almost called it Dead or Alive, and then I almost called it Dead Space. Dead Rising, which was
a
Capcom game. And I, like, the one thing that I loved about Dead Space was that it was so quirky. Like, you could feel that, like, if a studio was trying to make money, they wouldn't have made Dead Rising the way that they made it, right? But because they made it the way that they made it, it made money, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's how I feel about what was it called?
Exoprimal.
First, it's not the best name, but like I feel like it has the same feel of like Dead Rising, hundreds, thousands of zombies, like just hordes and hordes. So you're just destroying their lives. And then like this cast of characters that I bet you they'll take themselves very seriously, but there's no way that you could take them seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how Capcom like storyline is. So I don't know. I was like, I feel you. Like I wasn't like blown away by like, oh, it's like dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, oh, this is Capcom. This is actually probably gonna be fun. Like it's gonna be goofy, quirky, and they're gonna have a lot of weird powers and like power-ups and abilities and characters. So I will see if I pay for it. Like I might wait for it to show up on like
that's the question.
PS Plus. But if I get the right setting, I might, But there's a lot of games, man. I still haven't played Elden Ring, so
True.
On the surface, I had kind of a similar reaction where I was interested but not willing to invest yet. There are a lot of things, I guess, about the trailer that I don't know if it was intentional, like they were poking fun, or if it's just coincidence, like maybe because I guess the compartmentalization I do when I watch like these trailers and things, comparing it to other stuff. But like the very beginning of the trailer reminded me a lot of Anthem because the exosuits just kind of came in and did a pose, and then somebody got in one, and I was like, this is not very good. And then don't pull a whoopsie. And then the dinosaurs started falling from the sky, which reminded me of I can't remember the name of it. It was like Earth Salvation Force or something, but it's a similar motif where you're like futuristic sci-fi military fighting a bug invasion.
Giant
it's not
ants
dinosaurs.
And stuff. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so it's kind of close to
Troopers.
that. But then as I watched, especially some of the exosuits, I'm pretty sure you guys have played Warframe, but a lot of them resembled, I guess, Tennos, if that's what they're called. The different Warframes you use.
I think the plural is Tenno.
Yeah, the Tenno. And it doesn't seem to be like the most unique thought, but it seems like a lot of people registered that as well. The difference being that there's a human inside, which I don't know if that's confirmed in the Warframe universe, but the designs look very similar. And then towards the end, I was getting a lot of like hero shooter vibes because the loadouts seemed reminiscent of Overwatch characters.
Yeah.
And so it's like a amalgamation of all these different games, which at the end of the trailer, it looked like it could be interesting, but also might be a lot. So yeah, I think I'm in the same boat that I'll wait for it to become free, or if I hear that, it's really fun, then maybe when it goes on sale.
Yeah, I think that to what Brad was saying a second ago, I think any situation where you're fighting hand to hand, you have hand to hand combat with a Triceratops is going to be unintentionally funny. You just can't get around that.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of the trailer, the funniest part of the trailer, was definitely when this portal opened up and just a waterfall of dinosaurs fell out.
Yeah.
It was really hilarious.
And you can just, it shows that it's far away and these dinosaurs are pouring out, and that, like, there's like waves of them running towards you and climbing on the buildings, like spreading out. But that at ground zero, there's just piles of dead bodies.
Right.
Oh, it reminded me of The Day After Tomorrow. It just fell out of the sky, and it's like a lot of them didn't survive.
Oh, Tomorrow War? Tomorrow War?
Oh, Tomorrow War, correct. Not The Day After Tomorrow.
I was like, people fell from the sky.
It reminded me of Tomorrow War. Yeah.
Maybe both.
Yeah, I think
with Tom Cruise.
I think that's kind of where I think like that's the Capcom vibe, where it's like they are clearly doing ridiculous things, but they're taking it so serious. Like it's like in the world, it's so serious. The dinosaurs are raining from the sky, but in no sense, like, does that make any sense? Like at the end when they're showing them like going down the building, like they're like almost like waterfalls, like on the edge of like rain coming down the edge of the building, and I was like, this is so ridiculous. But I was like,
that's not physics.
Exactly. And I was like, it'll I have a feeling it'll be fun. Like
pouring like water. Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna go like ultra serious and have like a legitimate explanation for where these dinosaurs come
they will.
from and what these anomalies.
If it's anything like Dead Rising, they will explain it all the way through.
Yeah.
All the way.
It'll be like Attack on Titan. You find out, all this like hardcore, like, whoa, like world changing stuff.
It'll be like sci-fi movies where they do the exposition dump, where they're like, in 1932, there was a secret military base.
They'll have news reports with Muse playing over them.
Oh, one thing that I thought was interesting was that like that weird robot was like, the AI system was like, the combination with our threat detecting system and our exo suits means that casualties of human life is 0. And I was like, oh, so they're not a threat at all, basically. Like, okay, so
either they're not a threat at all, or the humans had a really robust system in place,
perfect
to begin with.
Perfect.
Yeah.
0 is that's.
Or there's no
every
humans.
Other.
So they don't.
It's just robots.
It's just robots.
Oh.
Robots can't die.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
They could just be fudging the numbers.
Rounding down.
I do remember them saying that, the fact that, usually they say, oh, kept deaths to a minimum. But they said 0. It's like, okay.
Literally.
They're pretty proud of that.
Maybe there's people just clinging on to life.
Yeah, everyone's in the critical care at the hospital.
Yeah. It counts.
Everyone's in cryo sleep. Okay. Well, that was Exoprimal. Did you guys see... Well, here's a fun game. Do you guys remember what came after that, since I had the list and you don't?
I have the list.
I don't have it in front of me. Was that...
Let's just ask Brad each time. Do you remember what happened next, Brad?
I remember there was no, that was the end of the show. What came next? Was that Forspoken?
Nope.
Close.
Not too close.
Man, what type of game was it? What type of game?
It was a first-person...
Oh, it wasn't...
exploration...
It wasn't the horror game.
Action game.
It was the horror game.
Oh, it was. Okay, I thought I was wrong. I was like, oh, that can't be right.
Yeah.
What's that game called? I can't even remember.
Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo. Yes.
It's got a bit of an odd name. Is that a reference to something?
I don't know. I feel like it sounds like a thing.
There is a city in Japan called Tokyo. I think that's like the capital or something.
It's the new capital.
I think that's the reference. That's what they're talking about.
Tokyo versus Kyoto. Kyoto is the old capital. New Tokyo. Anyway. But yeah, so yes, Ghostwire Tokyo.
All right, fine.
No, I don't know what Ghostwire is a reference to. I'm sure they that was one thing in this trailer. They actually told us a lot more about what's happening.
Yeah, it was a story. Yeah, it's like a story trailer. I mean, if we're over here, okay, if we're going to talk about game names, we still need to break down Triangle Strategy. Like,
that's for
well, tell us about Triangle Strategy. Apparently, you've been playing it.
Yes, I have been playing it. All I will say is that Triangle Strategy is exactly what the name is. Triangle, there's 3 nations, and it's a strategy game. Perfect. That's all you need to know. You're done. And I feel like that's like Ghostwire Tokyo. It's about ghosts. It's in Tokyo, and There's probably phones.
They're asking, why are you playing this game?
No, there was a scene where you have a grapple, some sort of like grappling ability, and I'm like, oh, that's probably literally a ghost wire. So maybe the entire game is based after one mechanic that every other game has now. Imagine Legend of Zelda: The Grapple Hook Chronicles.
To be very honest, I do not remember that at all, so that's hilarious.
I do remember him zipping around, but I didn't put it together that it was because of a ghost wire.
Yeah,
because of a ghost wire.
I'm just really smart. I think of these things. Yeah. But it looks cool, right? I think I'm excited for Ghostwire. I'm stoked.
I like the animations. The hand animations are really cool.
Oh, the jutsus.
Yeah. I feel like it would make an interesting VR experience with those controllers that match up with your fingers.
Mm-hmm.
If he actually had to do the hand movements to do the spells and actions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could wear the haptic gloves. Those are pretty good. If you got like $3,000 lying around.
Why would you need haptic gloves?
So you could feel.
I think those are the best at tracking your fingers and stuff right now.
You get the feedback a lot better.
I'll say this. So there probably isn't feedback for hand motions, but go on.
I'll say this about the game. I think I said this the first time it showed up at the other PlayStation State of Play or whatever it was. Like, it's the type of game that I would have been interested in if it wasn't in first person. Like, there's just something about it that, like, I don't know. I'm not, like, a big fan of first person, like, action, like, heavy battle fighting games. I always feel somewhat disconnected from the character for some reason, even though I feel like it should be the opposite. It feels wonky, and then the camera has to move when I swing, and I feel like it just feels very blurry to me. And I feel like a game that has a lot of action, like I played BioShock, and I liked it, but I think I would have, and sometimes I think about it, and I'm like, man, I think I would like BioShock if I had an option to be third person, you know? Like, I played Skyrim in first person, but, like, I would switch to third person a lot, because I was like, oh, this is better for me, like, to have a better vantage, but sometimes a little bit wonky. So anyway, that's kind of like, I think Ghostwire looks cool, but, like, I don't think I'll ever play it because of that.
That's really interesting you brought up Skyrim, because in my head, bringing it to third person would make me feel like more like I'm an observer and I'm watching this epic story unfold, which is preferable, so I would also probably play it in third person. But for most action games, I'm completely happy to play in first person.
I think
yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
For me, action games, they usually hold up, but I think I can kind of get behind what you're saying too, Brad, is that it's not like maybe from like an immersion standpoint type of thing where it doesn't feel like, I guess the disconnect maybe just from being exposed to games where you're in third person. You press a button and the person on screen reacts. It's kind of different when I guess it's like you have hands in front of you, right? But you're holding a controller to make the hands on screen do stuff. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. And then like I think what helps me with Skyrim is that Skyrim I am the character. In Ghostwire Tokyo or BioShock, I'm somebody else. And I'm not really shaping, like I'm living their narrative instead of the narrative that you know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, it's like a disconnect because I'm like, that's not what I would do, you know? But if I'm playing like Uncharted 4 or something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what Nathan Drake would do. I'm just just controlling his story, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's just like fundamentally a disconnect to me with most, you know, but once again, I love Skyrim. So, I mean, I could probably enjoy this game. It's just, I don't know, it's a turnoff for whatever reason.
I'm not big into horror games, so I won't play it.
I was going to say, Kyle's not going to play it anyway.
I mean, did it look super horror-y? It looked more like not jump scary, just like, you know, just...
No, the trailer was very tame, but I don't trust it.
Yeah, it's probably... It seems like it's more action than horror, but there's definitely some spooky monsters,
like,
and ghosts and
it kind of feels like to me how like Dark Souls is kind of a scary kind of motif, but it's not like a scary game. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But think of how scary it would be if you were playing it first person.
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know if it would be any more scary. It would just be because it's not really about jump scares or anything, like it's just hard enemies.
It's not jump scares, but I mean, I think there's. So that was what I was going to say. Is that like in general, I don't agree with you, but I can totally see where you're coming from about the first person, third person thing.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically with this game, I think it lends itself to the scariness to actually have these like demon women, screaming in your face as you're exorcising them.
I could see that, like the immersion of that actual experience versus like, oh, I'm watching it happen from outside of it. Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Oh man, so I've been playing God of War. We've all been playing God of War.
Yeah. We all have.
We've all been playing it, and it just made me think like, man, how cool would it be to be fighting some of these like zombie characters and from a first person perspective and just walloping them.
God of War could be dope in first person.
Oh my gosh.
It could be.
Most of it, he doesn't like rotate around a lot. So, I mean, it wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, I just wonder how...
the axe would be cool.
Yeah, I just wonder how it would work with like the lock-on system because a lot of it is like, like I guess you would just have free camera.
There is a pretty strong lock-on.
Like you would just be in control of it, right?
I think so, for first person. Maybe a little bit of aim assist.
Yeah.
I actually think that it would help with off-screen enemies because I'm like, right now with off-screen enemies, I have to be looking at that little indicator that wraps around his belt line. And sometimes it's hard to tell what direction it's pointing. Whereas, in first-person mode, they'll always have the same indicator, and it's usually easier to tell like what direction something's coming from.
It's weird. I feel like that's the same feeling I had with Spider-Man. For some reason, even though I knew that his little spider sense was going off, it didn't if I couldn't see the person, like the threat that was happening to me, it didn't really resonate. It's not until like later, I'm later in the game now where it's like more like just natural. But it's kind of weird how those things work. Like if you don't see it, it kind of feels weird. Like even though the indicator is somewhat helpful directionally, like it still feels disconnected, Like
I actually really like that they did that for Spider-Man because I'm like, that's the way the Spidey sense actually works. Is that he doesn't. Well, he would know where it comes from, but for us, it doesn't matter. All we know is that there's danger, and he can always dodge it. If you push, as long as you push the button at the right time, he'll always dodge it. You don't have to worry about what direction it's coming from.
And actually, I think you're more right because if thinking about his Spidey sense, sometimes he doesn't know, right? He just feels a thing, and he's like, "What's happening? What's happening? Something's happening." Like he's looking around, But that kind of makes more sense, yeah.
So, any other thoughts, Ghostwire?
Looks like it's going to be decent.
It'll be a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10.
I think that's going to go on like my mid-tier list of like games that I would play if I had them, but I'm like, will I pay for it? That's a long list right now. I have so many games I just don't have time for.
Absolutely. Yeah, I doubt in this lifetime I'll play Ghostwire Tokyo, but you never know. Like maybe it's like super great, incredible, but yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right. So I actually barely remember this, but the next game we had on our list is... Oh, wait. Brad, do you remember what the next game is?
Ooh.
I once again, if you give me a descriptor, I might, but I do not remember what happened after this game.
Can you give him a descriptor? Because I don't remember enough to give him a descriptor.
So I guess I can give you the gameplay was a dude in armor punching like dragons or dinosaurs.
Oh, that's the other game that pretty much essentially I was thinking to myself that it was just a weird dragon kaiju game. Like, not that wasn't the kaiju one, but yeah, I don't remember it. What is the game? What is that game?
So that was Stranger of Paradise.
Final Fantasy.
Oh, Stranger of Paradise. I've been hearing a lot of stuff on Twitter about it. Like, people have been saying it's like poor man's Dark Souls, Elden Ring or something like that.
Dang.
Final Fantasy's Elden Ring.
Yeah, like people have been kind of getting on it. I think that's the game. People have been saying like, oh, it has like the Elden Ring kind of feel, but like the voice acting and all the stuff is super weird because the demo came out or something, right? So it's so yeah, I think people have been like, I think I'm good.
I think I'll pass.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything notable from the trailer. It just looked like I guess, like it didn't look bad, but it didn't, I don't know, there just wasn't anything to kind of grasp from it. Other than that, it was like, I think it was the only one that had a demo the day of. So I guess that gives them a little bit of, I don't know, kudos to them.
Yeah.
It's a game.
It's a game.
You can play
It's a living.
It's a living.
Yeah, I like I said, I barely remember any of it. Completely.
It was super duper short. And it was just like, hey, come on.
We exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't seem to really care about it either.
Like, even the people who made the trailer were like,
We'll put it in.
Sure. Why not?
I mean, it's got Final Fantasy in the name, so you would have thought that they'd give it just a little bit more attention. It was really strange.
Yeah. I mean, what is it really? I feel like Final Fantasy as a brand is just so spread out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, what does it mean for something to be Final Fantasy? You know what a Pokemon game is, unfortunately.
Mostly.
You know what a Monster Hunter game is. You know what Smash Bros is. Like, are there any other games? Like, I'm sure there are. What are some games like Final Fantasy where they just kind of, it feels like they just slap the title on and...
Well, okay. I would say I disagree with this statement. And,
okay.
And maybe it's just because I have been a Final Fantasy fan for a long time. Definitely since 7. Like 7 is...
But you can't say that 5 times too fast.
Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 7.
No, Final Fantasy fan for a long time.
Oh, I can't say Final Fantasy fan. There we go. I did it. I didn't think I'd be able to say it. But I've been a Final Fantasy fan since I was like a kid. Like since like basically 6th grade, right? Like for sure. And I've played pretty much all of them or seen them up to like 11 or 12. And yeah, there's pretty much a formula for how the Final Fantasy games came. It wasn't until they started doing the MMOs that things changed a little bit. But as far as like a Final Fantasy game, it's like, hey, it's in the Final Fantasy world. You're going to have magic. You're going to have MP. You're going to have all this stuff. It's going to, maybe it'll be turn-based, but nowadays it's not. And it's kind of like a high fantasy, like kind of like game. And
yeah.
And normally, like nowadays, it's definitely, they've gone toward like you have control of the character, but in the past it was turn-based. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this game is probably one of those where I'm like, I don't know what's happening. But if like you were to speak to me about Final Fantasy, I can pretty much guess the setting. I can guess the archetypes. I can guess, the mages and,
Yeah, there are constants.
Yeah.
I mean, but aren't those constants pretty familiar to like the genre in general? The JRPG genre? MP, turn-based battles.
I think
Final Fantasy has chocobos and moodles or moogles, right? I'm thinking of poodles.
Poodles.
But like,
I can only speak from my own personal experience. But I played a lot of JRPGs growing up, at least. And yeah, Final Fantasy stood like they are all like similar, like just like any shooter is kind of similar, like space kind of Marines type of feeling, kind of sort of adjacent. But I kind of feel like it's the halo of the RPGs. Like it has its own brand and feeling. And even though other games can kind of feel like it, there's like Final Fantasy is just its own thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, it's very distinct.
You said that it's set in the Final Fantasy world. Is there a consistent like lore across all the games?
I wouldn't say there's a consistent lore, but there's consistent features, which would be like I said, magic and stuff. And then the summons. Elements. The summons are pretty much the same throughout the games, like Ifrit and Shiva and all the different ones, and like the Moogles and stuff like that. And then like certain animals and certain like fauna and like chocobos and stuff like that, like are through almost all of the games. They may be in different timelines. Like for example, Final Fantasy VIII is pretty much like in the future feeling, like the far future. and then like Final Fantasy VII is more of like a like, I don't know, like World War One, World War Two kind of feel. Like they feel like they're in different eras, but in the same universe, you know. So like,
so the technology changes around, I guess, what the world establishes.
Yeah, I would say that the technology always feels somewhat steampunky, but just like different like variations of what the steampunk would be depending on how far the technology had advanced, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Okay. I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that Halo has a consistent lore, and all the games fit into basically one storyline, you know, that is continuing. But that's fair, you know.
I would say it's more similar to Zelda in feel than it is to Halo. Like, Zelda's definitely a continuous storyline, but as far as like the motifs, you know what I'm saying?
So maybe that's because of the distance in between the games, because that's what Zelda kind of suffers from as far as the timeline is concerned, is that it's like hundreds of years in between. So they can feel very different, but they still have those underlying similarities.
Yeah.
And Halo doesn't suffer from that because everything seems to be
finish the fight
pretty close as far as time span.
Like literally the minute after one game ends, like the next game starts.
It turns around.
All right. So what game came after that, Brad?
Bro, I don't.
You know
I
this one. I know the last
two games.
You know this one.
Is it Forspoken?
It is.
It's Forspoken.
Okay.
Ayo, first try.
Like at this point, I was like, I can't be Forspoken because I got it wrong. Yeah.
Forspoken actually wasn't a part of this showcase.
You just had a fever dream. You were just watching a tech demo.
Wake up.
Just
wake up. Come back to us, Brad.
Please.
We miss you.
Open your eyes.
Wake up. Wake up.
So here's the question for Forspoken. Did anything in this new trailer change your minds about how you feel about the game?
Short answer, yes. Because I know we ragged on it. At least I did. I ragged on it pretty hard about looking like a tech demo last time. And it seems like they've either made improvements or showed things that were less tech demo-y this time. The combat reminded me a whole lot of Kingdom Hearts, just from what we saw. Bunch of enemies around, you're throwing all these different things, and then sometimes your movements turn into like a mini cutscene. And I guess I'm okay with that. That's probably, you know, it's neither here or there as far as I guess how I feel about games. It seems like every game has like takedowns and stuff, so that's probably what it was. You know, like one of those things.
Yeah, that's an interesting comparison, Kingdom Hearts, because there's not a lot of games that have that type of. Well, maybe let me not say that. Actually, there's probably a lot of games, but I don't usually think of a game and think, oh, it's like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, you know, it's so interesting to me because this. You know how important it is to how you frame something, because it, like, what is it like? Your first impression is normally the one that's the most lasting, and in many ways, I believe that if this trailer was the trailer that they first dropped, I would actually be interested and or looking forward to this game. Now, I think what they should have done was combine this trailer with a little bit more of their story trailers, and it would have been more of like a complete feeling. But I think they had they were time boxed. Now, the reason I say that is because as I watched this gameplay and I watched the game happening, I just felt that Horizon Zero Dawn feel, where like, have you guys played Horizon Zero Dawn at all?
For a little bit.
Heard of it.
So, what'd you say, Steve?
You know what I said.
No, I really did. I did not hear.
Say that again, boy.
I was just joshing you. Go on.
Well, I guess I'll figure out what you said in the post. But anyway, what I was saying is that like the game has the same feel where like it's Aloy against the world. It kind of feels like this girl, whatever her name is is against the world. Like, she's out there and the world is hostile, and she's the only one
Marcy.
that can do anything.
Also Aloy.
Her name is also Aloy. They're like, let's not even try. But like,
Her name is Deborah.
those scenes where she's like fighting like a whole bunch of enemies and stuff is happening like that. That's a lot of what a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn was like. You'd be fighting like multiple types of animals sometimes, and like human types, and all these things, and you'd be kind of trying to navigate and move, and like, you know, it's not like as precise as say like a Spider-Man like we've been talking about, or God of War, but it felt very much like just keep on moving, dodge roll, long roll, okay, shoot an arrow, fight this, pick this enemy off. And I felt that feel, like, use your big thing. Like, she has more magic based stuff, of course, so it's different, but I felt Horizon Zero Dawn's like a little bit of it in there, so I was like, ooh, this might actually be good. But I was like, I just was like, yeah, it doesn't look like a tech demo, but I'm like, y'all should have came out the gate with this. Like, I would be interested, but I feel like
it wasn't ready yet.
It really wasn't. It was like they should have stayed with the story and like not shown any gameplay until they were ready. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I do think I still stand by what I said at the beginning. I feel like the writing is probably fine, but the way that they like cut that first trailer together just made it seem terrible.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the writing was like in this
There
trailer.
wasn't much.
I don't think there was much writing.
it was
Wasn't
just
much.
like VO or something, like voiceovers, but like mostly just action.
And another comparison to Kingdom Hearts was, to me, the voiceover. So the Kingdom Hearts trailers, it was completely silent with just the voices, and so it was worse objectively, in my opinion. But in here, the voiceover was like overlaid and super clean, but it was also contextual. So it still had that really weird like feeling of dissonance that the Kingdom Hearts trailers had, because she's obviously outside. Sometimes she was like fighting, but it didn't sound like her voice was coming from where she was.
So
it was a little bit of a weird choice.
I've been trying to explain that from the very beginning. From the very first trailer, I feel like there's something up with the audio engineering. Like I said, it like her voice doesn't match her personality. Like it was just something off. And like the more I listen to it, and now that you say that, I really think it's just a pure like mixing problem. And they just don't really know how to like, they should be like the studio, but like it just feels like, like you said, we took a really clean audio file and like put it on top of this stuff when it should feel like she's outside or out of breath, or, you know, like, it just feels weird.
And another thing for the audio that I noticed,
and another thing,
the song that was playing in the trailer reminded me of the song "What's Up, Danger" from the Spider-Verse movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he even said danger in this song. And I was like, why would you do this?
I know what they're doing.
You know, at first...
But it felt cringy because like that was the most popular movie of, what was that, 2020, 2021? I can't be the only person that noticed that.
2019. Yeah, I'll say this. Like, at first, I felt weird about the music. And I was like, I guess it kind of fits. Like, I don't know. I just felt like the vibe was a little bit off. But... I kind of see what they were going for, but at the same time, like, it just didn't have the vibe like that it should have, like a kind of hip hoppy, like, cool music track.
I didn't glean that,
you know?
Yeah. You know, what's something that stood out to me about this trailer? It was the theme, "She Will Rise."
Yeah, what was that?
It definitely felt like, so in the previous trailers, it felt like she's the scrappy kid or young woman who gets this power and is like fighting against a larger enemy, and you know, she'll prevail, she'll save the day. But in this one, we see her like walking around like blast. You know, there was one part where she's like sauntering with her arms out, and there's just like light blasting off her or something, and I don't remember. It seemed like she was the villain almost, except, you know, we're behind her, not in front of her. And then the trailer at the end is like, "She will rise." I'm like, is she going to become like the new queen? Is she going to become like God? Like, what is happening? All she has is this dinky little bracelet. You know, how is she becoming such a legendary
Pokemon
part of this world that she's in?
Sorry. But no, I felt the same way. I was really thrown off by that she will rise. I was like, what is that even supposed to mean? Like, they didn't give any context to it. Like, am I supposed to be like, oh, what does that mean? It just felt like, wait, what? Like why will she rise? Like, and you're kind of right. It seemed like she was a little OP in the trailer, but I guess they're just trying to show off cool stuff. But
sure.
Yeah,
maxed out skill tree.
I don't know. I still feel like it's just overall, just all of the trailers. Like, I need to go back and watch all of them back to back. And I bet you if I watched all of them, I'd be like, these are 3 different games. Like, these are not the same game. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of want to do that too now.
We could have a 4.
I don't know if I want to give that game any more views though.
I'm not going to do that.
Just, watch them all at the same time, so maybe YouTube won't recognize them as separate views.
So, crash YouTube.
YouTube's like, I don't know what to do when someone watches 2 different videos at the same time.
Is this allowed?
This never happens.
I guess I'll delete the video.
All right, what's next, Brad?
Is this?
You're gonna kick yourself when you guess right.
This is the kaiju battle one.
No.
Close, because there's like 18 of those.
Like, I don't know what it could be. I don't know.
This is up next. We have Gundam Evolution.
Oh, okay. That's why.
Revolution.
For some reason, I deleted that from my memory. Like,
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Okay, we can just skip it if you like.
I got some things to say about it.
I mean, I'm running the show, but you're still the master. So.
Oh,
master.
I'm kidding. No, we're not going to skip it.
Oh,
go on, Kyle. Go on with your best
He pulled back that extension immediately.
It's out there now.
I was gonna, I guess, just to kind of comment on it. It looked a lot like a hero shooter to me, but I guess like they were trying to cash in on the excitement behind Halo right now, because it seemed like a Halo light, but with a Gundam coat of paint. But I guess speaking about the paint too, the graphics, maybe it was just me, but it seemed really desaturated and kind of flat. And it seemed like it was intentional, kind of.
That's what Gundam's all about, baby. Realistic robots.
But they weren't even shiny. I thought Gundams were supposed to be at least a little bit shiny.
No, they use ceramic now. They're better materials.
Efficient, I think.
Yes.
But the whole trailer just seemed strange.
Yeah, it felt like a trailer that they were forced to make. Like it was like, there's nothing really interesting to show. Like, it might be fun to play, but it's just not a game that like looks wet. Like, to say some games just don't, like, you kind of have to play them to get what they feel like. Also, like, I think the art I did not like it. It kind of felt, not that it was low poly, but there's just something weird about it. I was just like, I don't like this, And the gameplay just seemed rudimentary, like arena shooter, like it was just showing people shooting each other. And I was like, okay, like, thank you. This is a game.
They were in Gundams.
Yeah, but we're in Gundam, but you can't see your Gundam. And I'm like, to me, that's the stupid. Like, I want to see how cool I look. So I'm like, this is garbage. Like, it could literally be anything. Like, you could be anything, and it wouldn't matter. Like,
so I know at least one person is going to be really mad at me for saying this.
Say it.
And one person and one country. I feel like, I don't know, man. The Gundam, again, this is about brands, right? The Gundam brand is like worthless to me. I feel like when I see Gundams, everything just kind of fades and merges together. Mm-hmm. And so when that trailer came on, I was like, oh, cool, more fighting robots. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's because Gundam was like the OG, one of the OG giant robot fighting, mech anime situations. I know there's others that are older than Gundam, but Gundam was like huge. And I'm like, is Gundam still popular? Like, aren't there postdecessors that
successors?
That's not a word.
Successors, yeah.
Descendants that have surpassed Gundam. Like, why are we still making Gundam? I think about Zone of the Enders. Now that was a game with pizzazz. Or like, what happened to DSX?
There's been Bionicles too.
Wait. Ex Machina. That's the name of it. Ex Machina. Did you say Bionicles?
Isn't that was like a Gundam successor-ish?
Oh, you talking about the Legos thing?
Those are Legos, basically.
Yeah, so are Well, from what I understand, Gundams hold a similar space because they sell the toys you put together,
the kits,
action figures, whatever they're called.
Yeah, the kits.
The kits.
I mean, that's true. Bionicles are like
straight Legos.
They're like human sized though. They're not like fighting robots.
There was another one in between that I'm trying to remember. Then it was like wolves or something.
Beetleborgs.
You're talking about oh my goodness, you're talking about Zoids?
Zoids. Yeah.
Liger Zero. That anime.
Yeah.
I loved that joint so much when I was a kid. Yeah, man, I forgot about
Yeah, because so Zoids, that stands out to me. I'm like, oh yeah, Zoids. Like that's a thing. I wouldn't play it, but I would actually remember a Zoids game trailer probably better than this.
Well, okay. All right, let me, just from my particular, like, I feel that Gundam is one of those things. It's kind of like, it's what Dragon Ball Z would be if, like, Dragon Ball Z never, like, found a way to, like, make it to the next generation. Like,
right.
Like, Dragon Ball Z became, Dragon Ball Super. It's found ways to stay relevant, even though it's, like, the OG predecessor anime. And I personally love Dragon Ball Z. It's one of my top, animes ever. I'm not like, I think I've aged out of Dragon Ball Z personally. That's just how I feel. Not that it's not cool or something. It's just not for me. But Gundam was very unique back in the day. It was a lot of like political, like machinations and like, and it was very like heavy and deep. So,
but also goofy as hell. All these like, isn't Gundam Wing goofy?
Gundam, no, none. Like, have you ever seen?
I don't know.
Have you ever seen? I think it was Gundam Wing, where the guy he's like on the roof, and a girl comes up to him and says, "Hey, I brought you an apple," and he looks at her and says, "I will kill you." Like,
oh my gosh!
No. That's actually the scene I was going to mention. What? That is goofy, dude.
That is no. In every way, like in context of what was happening, that's goofy because it's out of context. That show was so serious, son. Like,
so in context, she was in actual danger.
In context, he was a horrible, like very, like I wouldn't say horrible. He was like a super serious, like never dropped his guard kind of person, and he like
Go on.
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say she didn't give him an apple. She was inviting him to her birthday party.
Yes.
And he took the invitation and tore it in half, and then said, "I'll
kill you." Like yes, it's funny now, but back then it was like, oh my goodness, like
he'll do it.
Like it was, I just remember watching that show and being like, yo, this show is so serious. Like, it's above my pay grade. Like, I was a kid. Like, I was in elementary school, I was like, this is like my brother's show. My brother's 5 years older than me. It just always felt super serious. The only show that I could watch amongst Gundam was G Gundam. Because G Gundam was serious too, but its story was very simple, if that makes sense. Like, it was clearly made for a younger generation. Like, it was just like, and it was just like an extended tournament arc,
classic
of a show. So I don't know, like Gundam is just one of those things that I just feel like it never like matriculated to the next era of anime. I think it has a special place in a lot of older anime fans' hearts, like people who are older than myself. But
I know, I have a couple of friends who still buy the collectible construction kits like routinely because they're still coming out with new ones, and there are rare ones out there that surface. So there's certainly an audience. I know one of them plays the games, like he buys them all, but I just don't know, I guess, how big the audience is aside from, I guess, the dedicated fans.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty niche. I remember being in Japan. Well, me and Marcus, we went to the Gundam Cafe in Akihabara, and it's just a giant Gundam. Like, it's really
nice.
it's really cool. I can share some pictures. I'll drop them in the Discord. But like, I'll say this: the food was mediocre, but it was clearly a tourist trap. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't.
Okay.
Like, you didn't really see Japanese people in there. And then when you're going around, there was there was a store that sold like Gundam figures, right? Dude, them things were so expensive. They were like $500.
Yeah,
like,
oh yeah.
Bruh.
Like, I was like, oh,
and they're really nice.
This
too.
one looks really cool. And I was like, yo, this is $350, son. Like,
They're solid.
They're really well quality.
They're up there with like model planes and stuff.
Yes, that's what it felt like. And there was a lot of them, so many various types. And there was one like sitting on a shelf that was like so huge, and I think it was over like a few $1,000s. Like, so there's a market somewhere. It has to be adults with money. You know what I'm saying?
So what I'm hearing is I should go back and watch Gundam Wing and see what else.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Gundam Wing is definitely very serious. G Gundam is like serious, but like kind of
For kids.
not that great. And then there's not G Gundam. No, wait, which one is it? Anyway, there's all different Gundams. No, I can't remember. But yeah, there's a lot of Gundams. So yeah, I don't know who it's for. Honestly, I don't know who the game is for. I didn't even know. I like, somebody's paying their bills. You know what I'm saying? So.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Tell me, Bradston, what is the next game on our list?
Is this the kaiju game?
I'll give you a hint. There are oversized reptiles in it.
The kaiju game, right?
Smaller than kaiju.
No.
Oversized reptiles. Man, I don't know what y'all talking about.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay. Look,
Cowabunga
I'm gonna say this
Collection.
before we even get into this. Why do I stop? Like, we know there's like 18 different versions of the re-release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just feel like I don't need to see it ever again. I literally was like, why is this here? Personally. Anyway.
I wouldn't know, right? I feel like they made out like it was the first time all these games have been together.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like they're adding some like online features and stuff to all of them, which is pretty cool.
That's cool. They do a similar thing with the Sonic collection every couple of years.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I never played a single. I didn't realize there's like 15 games in this collection.
a lot of them are very bad.
I've never heard of most of them. I thought, there was only like 2.
I played a good bit, mostly on my computer via legal means.
Yeah, Mr. Bowser.
You sounded really
downloaded
sketchy.
it to your computer.
For a price. But anyway, so when I was watching this, because I think I said this before, beat 'em up games, I'm for it, and so I was excited to see this. Just, I don't think I'll buy it, but I like to see them. I would consider buying it if it wasn't. I couldn't tell from the trailer if it's only on PlayStation, PS4, PS5, and if it is, then I certainly won't buy it because I don't need it on PS5. Like, I would get it on I would get it on Switch.
Ooh.
But it makes no sense to get it on PS5 to me.
Yeah, it just feels like they have another, like, not that they have a new collection. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've seen this particular collection. But I just feel like I've seen a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at almost every single conference, like, in the last few years. So I'm like, I don't, it's just like fatigue.
Yeah,
that's fair.
They have been advertising their actual new game pretty hard. And then they were in the Nicktoons Smash Bros. The Turtles were in there, and so they have been kind of overexposed here lately. Yeah. I am looking forward to the newest one. It seems like it's going to be pretty solid.
Solid.
So I don't know if they even
Which
talked
one
about
is that
one. I can't remember the name. Something to do with Shredder, I think.
There's so many of them, bruh.
Shredder's Day Off.
Shredder's Revenge. Shredder goes to high school. Like,
Shredder picks up his son.
Shredder's fraternity test. But it's one of those.
Oh
my.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Good.
I don't need to see you. Like, I'm good.
No, I didn't need to be here.
It's like Gundam to me. It's like there's people who play it, who like it, and if they are interested in it, they're gonna know about it and they're gonna play it. You don't need to tell me about it. I'm just being real. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that. That's pretty much how I feel about. I mean, I love that TMNT gets love, but I'm not gonna love it myself.
It's a great IP.
It's a great IP.
You know, I've never seen any of the new movies. I just can't get myself to do it.
Oh, just don't.
And
yeah.
Don't support Michael Bay.
You've seen an explosion before, right?
And didn't they make a 3D game, like a new, like a more modern generation game for it? Like
yeah,
for the movie.
I don't know if it was a direct tie into the movie, but they did.
I just remember.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, like that one looked pretty cool. I just never played it.
It was really gritty.
Gritty, yes.
So, yeah, the turtles, they actually they don't look like the movie turtles, which look humanoid. They look like actual mutated turtles in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it wasn't directly related to the movie.
Yes.
Man, I've never heard of this. I got to look at that trailer.
Yeah, you need to see them. They look horrible in the best way possible.
Yeah, it's very. I'm surprised they got the green light. To take this approach.
Which then again, if you look at where the IP started, they were pretty grotesque.
Like not on purpose. It just
by happenstance.
Like they really tried. It's like that Gundam scene. It's like it's funny now, but like back then they were so serious.
Well, Braston, what game comes next?
Kaiju Battle.
Yes, Giga Bash.
It might as well be called Kaiju Battle.
the Kaiju Battle extraordinary game.
Yeah, you know, like that game. I was like, that looks like it actually might be fun. But the weird thing about it is like, and you know what, Kyle, you might be able to speak on this because I'm not a designer, but I can like recognize it that like people make really cool character designs, but they're not memorable, right? Like they look really cool and have all these intricacies, but like I wouldn't say that I could remember like what any of those characters look like. And I was like, that's so interesting. Like, I don't know if it's because they're not trying to be Godzilla and get sued or what, but it just was like, oh, like you could, like anybody could have made this and like it looked cool, it looked good, but I don't think any of those characters were memorable.
None of them are
iconic. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Yeah.
Maybe they'll become iconic.
Yeah, and characters become iconic for different reasons. But yeah, just from the trailer, there wasn't anything that would stand out. I mean, as far as the cast of characters is concerned, they were successful in making them all distinct. But yeah, there wasn't one where you were just like, hey, look, I'm going to remember that giant gorilla or something.
Exactly. Like, it was almost like there's too many colors. It's like they needed to be like one easy, solid color, like blue, and then green. But also, it's like weird. I'm not a designer, so I'm just speaking from what I saw, you know.
No, I mean, that's a valid point that designers need to take into consideration if they want their characters to be memorable. I mean, it's kind of an issue you may remember with the latest Marvel vs. Capcom, is that's the idea that the game designers had, or that the characters didn't matter, and so they could swap characters out with characters with similar abilities, and the fans would be fine with that, and the opposite was true.
Absolutely not. I don't even like Marvel vs. Capcom. People love it because of the characters. Yeah. What?
It was crazy. A debacle.
I don't remember feeling much either way about the characters, but this is why I was thinking, isn't this a remake of an older game?
It looks like it could be.
There's a game where I'm pretty sure it was set in like the Godzilla universe, but there's a game where you could be Godzilla or like Mothra or Rodan or whatever, and you were just stomping around in this big old city with skyscrapers and fighting each other.
Yeah. I do know there was one way back in the day. I think it was like PlayStation Dreamcast era, and it was like really good, like underrated game. I don't know if in the recent past there's been one, but I do feel you on that. Like there has been games, like there was a game, I can't remember what it was called, that was like kind of like this. Yeah, maybe that was more recently. Yeah, I think I kind of know what you're talking about.
And this game type isn't particularly unique either, because they did make one with the monsters from Rampage too in this same style.
Oh, yeah, that might be the one I'm thinking of.
But like this is, I've seen games like this where they call them like Smash likes because they're. But I don't really see how
the resemblance.
Yeah,
I don't either.
You guys ever play Power Stone?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think this is. Like, Power Stone is like the original arena arcade arena fighter. First of all, I loved me some Power Stone. Like, I could only play it at arcades because I didn't have it on disc for Dreamcast, and I loved playing that game. So, like, I feel like this is like the next, like, you know, like their successor, kind of, sort of.
There's been a handful in between because I only played Power Stone. I think a cousin or somebody had it. I never owned it, but I played. There was Tom and Jerry War of the Whiskers, which was pretty much like a Power Stone like, and then Shrek Super Slam was another one.
Oh, Kung Fu Panda.
They might.
That's more of a Smash like.
They might have had one too. The arena. I wouldn't be surprised if Kung Fu Panda had an arena fighter like this.
I mean, I know they had a Smash Brothers clone.
Remember, they did. It was very good.
That joke was.
Are you not talking about the Smash Brothers clone? That's what I thought you meant.
I know that Kyle was like, he bought that game after he played it at my place.
I was ready.
Kyle, no.
It was like $8 or something.
Yeah,
so
and it was so bad.
A poor financial investment, but
it was so bad but so good at the same time.
Oh man,
Played
I
it
just
for like
remember that apartment when you lived there, Brad. That place was cool.
Yeah, that empty shell of an apartment.
Yeah, I would just go hang out in one of your empty rooms and lay on the floor.
Just
Brad wouldn't even know you were there.
That's what my apartment was. One giant empty room and like the TV.
No. Not the one that so you lived there for a long time. I'm talking about the one we had like that's when you first bought your new couches. Was it this new place?
Oh, yes. In my I had a 2-bedroom, but I didn't have anything to put in the second bedroom, so it was just empty.
So just me on the floor.
You had a Steve to put in there.
You know?
Yeah, and we hung streamers from the fan one time, and then we turned the fan on, and it was making a cool little vortex.
It was after a date that I had done, and it was just like you could just stand in there. It took you to another world. You know, it's one of those weird things where like a 2-bedroom apartment was cheaper than a 1-bedroom, so like, which is so strange to me, but whatever.
Yeah,
it is very weird.
All right, well, that's all on Gigabash, which, by the way, is a decent name, but not a great name. Definitely better than Gundam Evolution.
Yes.
What's next, Brad?
Is this the Square Enix ending?
No.
Section?
Tis not.
No, we still got a few more.
Oh, really? There's more.
There's more.
I will tell you at this point, it's all a blur up until we get to the Square Enix stuff.
So this one's based on an anime.
It's a remake.
Oh, JoJo?
Yeah.
Now, this is the one I want to hear Steve's hot take on.
Let's hear it, Steve.
The first thought I had when I saw this was, oh yeah, I heard that this fighter was completely broken. Also, I love that the trailer was almost exclusively just one quote from each character.
They knew what they were doing.
There's like 50 characters, which is really cool, by the way. That's a lot of characters,
Massive
a lot of fighters.
Game.
Yeah, but like, I was also thinking how funny it is that anyone who isn't part of JoJo, like doesn't know JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, probably would not know like which character is the main character because they're all completely bonkers.
Or what the game's even based on.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that like each season that most of these characters never see each other. That each season takes place after like some sort of time skip, and usually they're self-contained stories. You wouldn't know that like, you know, this guy's the villain. Well, you would probably know who's the villain, but some of the like really minor villains appeared in the trailer as if they're
important,
more villainous than they are. Yeah,
Representation.
yeah,
It's gonna get people to go watch the show.
yeah. I was also impressed because they actually have characters that are from the manga that aren't in the show yet.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice. Good on them.
I just barely recognize them.
Yeah. When the trailer came on, because I remember, I guess, how panned the last game. Did they have multiple games already?
I think this is a remake of a previous game.
Yeah. I know I've seen a JoJo game in the past, but I don't know what it was.
It was just like this kind of I guess 1v1. Does this still count as an arena fighter?
I think it's just a fighter.
It's just a fighter.
Just a
It's
fighter.
like a Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter.
But it's in full like 3D. Like, you can move around.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Soul Calibur or
the
More like Soul
Naruto's,
Calibur, sure.
the
Dragon Ball.
Ultimate Ninjas.
I feel like it's more like a Soul Calibur from what they were doing, right? Like,
I think Soul Calibur is the closest. Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, I was just confused on like how they keep getting cleared to make these games, because the last one, from what I understand, didn't get received that well.
I don't know if it got received very well. I just heard that the mechanics were busted.
Yeah. And so like it was fine to the people who already enjoy the show and the content, but as far as like being a competent fighter, it was not.
you know, I feel like this is kind of goes back to that Gundam thing where it's like, it's weird because it's like, who is buying this? But clearly somebody is. Like, somebody. Like,
Yeah.
I bet
Funded the next one.
JoJo probably has a large community in Japan. Actually, like, I think I watched something where some Japanese people were just talking about their favorite anime, and JoJo would come up periodically. But, like, in the US, I bet you there's just enough for they're, like, making decent money, you know, and there's a larger market. So, it's kind of like the whole, like, this is kind of falls within the double A type of game, right? Like, it has a decent budget,
sure,
but it doesn't have to make millions and millions of dollars to be successful, you know? Like,
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
you know, so.
And they got a lot of voice actors though, and that might be a AAA budget.
And it looks really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like because it's JoJo and it's probably a licensed type game, you know? Like how cheap it might be because these people are under contract and, you know,
underpaid.
You know, there's probably some hustle. Somebody's making money off of it, right? Like, yeah, like why make another one? You know,
the one guy who made this game is doing good.
Same dude who made Stardew Valley.
100% of the profit. Yo, that'd be wild. So here's the thing: if it's a remake of a previous game, do you think that they patched the problems with the previous games?
I would wonder if the problems were actually features. Because of just, I guess, how wild the show is. Like, if they intended for characters to be broken because they knew it wasn't going to be like a game that people will play at EVO or any sort of competition.
I mean, in these shows, the main characters are all broken, so...
Yeah. I have a feeling that, yeah, if it's as niche as we think it is, then the community probably appreciates its brokenness. So, like, if they change the brokenness, they'll probably complain, like, on their forums or wherever. So they'll probably just leave it in.
Because that's what happened with the One Punch Man game, is that people were mad Saitama wasn't more broken.
Like,
make Saitama an unplayable character. Make him
literally
broken.
One Punch Man.
Yeah. Which he would one punch, you know, regular characters, but to get him on the field was a chore.
Oh, he's not a playable character.
He's playable, but so the way they made him work is you have teams of 3. And I can't remember if it was a shared health bar or if someone gets downed, then you lose. One of those weird things where you couldn't make somebody, you know, lose all their HP and then play all the way through the next character. You had to manage those. But he would take your third character slot, but he'd be on a countdown timer for like 3 minutes. And so the person you're playing against would have to either beat your other 2 characters in that 3 minutes before he shows up, or else they pretty much lose. Because once he shows up, then he one punches everybody on their squad.
Wait, could they have One Punch Man on their squad as well?
Mm-hmm.
So then it's a tie.
No, so it's borderline stalemate because Saitama has like 4 moves and they're really slow to come out. And I guess that's for balancing, so he doesn't immediately one-shot somebody. They can dodge it a couple of times, but then they'll eventually lose. But when it's Saitama versus Saitama, he does very little damage to himself. So it's just whoever can attack the fastest kind of thing.
Oh, it's like who hits first, basically. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. But he doesn't one-shot himself.
Of course
Fair
not.
enough. Fair enough.
I don't even think they gave him a palette swap.
It's just
No,
the
why
same
would they?
Saitama. Not even like a different color jacket.
It's the same Saitama. He's just flicking back and forth fast enough to create an after image.
He's like, yeah, I'm just fighting myself. That's the only challenge I get.
Pretending
Yeah,
to
that's
lose.
Yeah.
Do you think that Saitama is fast enough to punch himself in the face like that?
It's that question of just like, can God make a boulder that he can't move? Like that's,
Oh yeah, that's true. When you put it like that, I have to say no.
not that Saitama's God, but
He is in his universe,
right.
in
pretty
his
much.
universe, he's close. So I don't know. I mean, the JoJo games in general to me are like I've tried my best to really like JoJo the show, but it's just not my cup of tea.
It sounds like you haven't tried your best.
I have tried. I've watched it. Like in a way,
Try better.
It's the type of show that I have to convince myself to watch, and it's not because it's absolutely terrible. It's just not very interesting to me. So, like to me, I see the JoJo game, and I'm like, it's not super interesting to me. But I wonder if like there's a world where that game is more fun than like it's more interesting than my interest in the anime. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I doubt it, but yeah.
Does the anime have a slow start or something? I haven't. I've watched a couple of the. Well, no.
The first season is kind of, I won't call it slow, but it's kind of weird. It definitely feels like he was kind of getting his bearings as a writer.
Okay.
But each season tends to have a pretty quick start before tensions go up the first episode or two. And then they pretty much stay constant. Like there's not really rising action. It's just every episode or 2 episodes.
It's just like them going.
Is a miniature arc. Yeah.
It definitely isn't like to me a slow anime. Well, I mean, it could be considered that. To me, what I don't necessarily like about JoJo is that I think the characters just talk too much, and
they talk
a lot, and there's always somebody trying to one up somebody, and it's like always like aha, but I actually had a paperclip under my left butt cheek, and what you didn't know is that paperclip actually had hormone in it, and what I did was I attached it to the ceiling with some bubble gum, and that bubble gum is actually a reverse hormone. Like it's just
I gotta explain everything.
Like there's no like you couldn't just watch the show without the characters explaining their actions.
Man.
So
because the actions they take are so bonkers and subtle sometimes that if they didn't explain it, you wouldn't get. You wouldn't be able to appreciate how big brain all the main characters are.
So they created a formula where they can't show instead of tell.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
And to me, that's just not super interesting. Like I kind of enjoy shows where I kind of can solve the mystery myself. Like to me, that's more clever writing because that means that you have to do a good job of showing and telling without over-showing or over-telling, and it's like a good balance.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a different type. That's kind of how I feel about what's the anime with Killua, Hunter Hunter. Like Hunter Hunter struggles with the same thing to me. Not as bad as JoJo, but like the characters talk too much a little bit about what they're doing. It's like, okay, cool, like just do it, and then like let's see what happens. So that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it's kind of like the writing equivalent of playing an RPG and min-maxing your stats. So they basically minimized some of the more important writing more important aspects of writing in order to maximize the goofiness,
cleverness,
and the cleverness.
I will say this: like the way that they go about things is so bonkers. Like you're saying, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoever wrote this is like Sherlock Holmes type level, right? Like, and they really
ultimate creativity.
and they could make like probably a really good puzzle game. But
for sure.
So the stuff that they do, like, you think it could actually be solved by a human being? Like, it's not just ridiculousness that.
No, it's all ridiculousness.
All ridiculousness.
But not all of it. Sometimes it's ridiculousness. Sometimes you can kind of see what might happen, but I would say like 8 times out of 10,
you'll never.
It's ridiculousness.
You know what it's like?
And but it's ridiculousness that is consistent. Usually, is consistent with like what we know about the world and their powers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's the Baki the Grappler equivalent, like of like narrative, like Baki the Grappler is just so over the top. Like everything that characters do is just so ridiculous, like from a physical standpoint. But like just equate that to writing, and it's like so over the top. It's like, okay, you know, the best way I like to think about it is like in a video game where you can't solve a puzzle because the people who designed the puzzle already had the solution in mind. So you're not like you're trying to figure out what the puzzle designer was trying to do, not what the puzzle is trying to tell you to do, if that makes sense. Like, you know, it's like you're working backwards from the solution instead of like working toward the solution. You know, so anywho, so
right on. So we've been here for a minute. Let's go on to the next game. Do you know what it is, Brad?
Of course he does.
You know I don't.
I'll give you a hint.
You have to.
It has swords in it.
Oh, is this the samurai
That's
one?
a pretty big hint. Yeah, that's a huge hint.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what else could it?
You could say.
Indeed, what else?
It's in Japan.
Anyway.
Like all of those big games.
Yes, this next game is called Trek to Yomi, about a samurai who, I guess it seems like he dies while trying to either protect or avenge his village and family from some sort of demon lord character. Not a demon lord. I watched too much anime. You know, just like a shogun type, like big, scary, angry samurai looking dude. He dies, and I think he has to like make his way through the afterlife to get back to our world in order to, you know, continue what he was doing.
To the plane of the living.
To the plane of the living, and it looks interesting. It's like in Ghost of Tsushima, you can kind of enter into like a standoff. Actually, no. Sorry, I'm misremembering what happened. It was just very stylized. And the camera was out really far. That's what I remember.
Yeah. It was it did have kind of that standoff vibe to it. To me, it seemed like it was a marriage of Ghost of Tsushima and seafood.
Interesting.
Wow.
And it's kind of a deep pull because seafood doesn't stay at the place where it reminded me of. But just, I guess, the combat was pretty reminiscent. Just because you're crowded, but also, you know, it just seemed like it was scratching kind of the same itch of being in a kung fu movie or something. But you're just a samurai this time, so
yeah, it felt very like the attacks were consequential, you know, like what it would be in a real samurai fight. Like you don't really like in a real sword fight. You're not like fighting for 10 minutes per se, unless you're both really, really, really good or something. It's normally like decided in the first few seconds, like who's going to win, you know? And like just one slash kill normally in samurais, you know, that's kind of their code, like kill quickly. So I thought it was an interesting, like I liked the style and I liked the motif, but I don't think I like that it was like a side-scrolling game, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I've been hating on a lot of games because of like their perspective. But
yeah, you're very picky today.
Yeah, but it's just weird. Like, there's a lot of games that I feel like have these really cool motifs, but I feel like they just use the wrong like
presentation.
Yeah, like they're trying to do something different to differentiate themselves, and not that I don't want them to. It's just like it would be fun.
You just don't want them to.
I rely on something else.
Yeah, you know, I was like, ooh, this looks really cool, and then I saw the gameplay, and I was like,
never mind.
So yeah,
It actually reminded me of a game that I played a couple of months ago, called 9 Monkeys of Shaolin, and the way the trailer depicted how the story is seemed like it was note for note that game, which
really
is kind of like the typical, I guess, origin story of these guys who like rise to power, or not rise to power, but fight their way to the top of the food chain, if you will, to fight the main guy who killed their village. Like it's a very rehashed story. But anyway, that game was a side-scrolling game. It's more beat 'em up heavy than this one is. So you do hit people multiple times, but otherwise it seemed like it was almost the same game at first glance.
The exact same game.
Like it was weird because I was like, is this a sequel? But then instead of in 9 Monkeys, you can switch weapons, which I think is cool.
So basically, it's Shaq Fu 2. I mean, like
Shaq Fu, baby.
3. Yeah. I've definitely seen games with the same kind of feel. I mean, I like samurai culture in general. Being a person who enjoys Japanese culture, so I'm always interested to see like different games and the different expressions. This one seems like it has just like it feels very artistic to me. Like have you ever seen that game Swan, where it's like you paint the area as you move? But anyway, it just kind of felt like an art project mixed with the game, like.
Are you thinking of Concrete Genie?
No. It's something Swan. I can't remember what, Black Swan or something like that. But
I think that's a movie.
I've never heard of a swan.
Yeah, Black Swan is a movie. That's why I was like, I don't want to say Black Swan. But it's
Swan Lake.
We're gonna have to bleep him out because you said Black Swan.
Just cease and desist. Just sent.
They'll find us.
The game did look like the whole thing is spent in black and white, which I don't know how I feel about that. It didn't seem like it was too bad. The contrast was pretty high, so it might not be that bothersome, but
yeah,
a very bold choice.
Bold choice. Yeah, I saw it. The gameplay does not speak to me. So, I mean, I think it's cool. I'm glad that the game exists. I hope that it gets enough attention, but I will not be buying it.
I will not be buying it. Yeah.
All right.
The Unfinished Swan. That's what it's called. It's
yeah, I've never heard of that.
It's just like an artistic kind of game.
No.
Okay.
He said no.
Okay. I'm just gonna spam you on Discord.
I don't think I will.
Every time we talk, I'm gonna say, yeah, da, and then I'm just gonna spam the trailer. It's
swan emoji.
Let me take this moment to shout out to the Discord. Thanks for joining our Discord, buds.
Yes.
Sorry that Brad's going to spam us all with
just you.
What I can only assume is garbage. Just me.
Just you.
You're gonna like DM me?
No, it'll be like hyperlinked in the text. Like
oh.
In my profile picture would be like a QR code or something to
and I'll just be like I can't not scan the QR code. That's interesting. I look forward to hearing about that. Tell us what the next game is, Bradston.
Bro, I already told you. You got to give me a hint. Like, I'm not gonna.
I'll give you a hint. It is a third-person shooter.
Good hint.
A third-person shooter.
Now with multiplayer.
Oh, the Return? No.
This man out here with the biggest hints.
I'm trying to move us along, man.
Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah.
I waited till you gave him the hard hint before.
You did. You waited. He had a moment to think, and he failed. Returnal Ascension, which I assume is not a DLC, but just an update. Or is it a DLC?
It's a DLC.
Do we know?
It looks like it.
Pretty sure it's a DLC.
It wasn't
But
clear.
it's free.
It's free?
I guess that still counts as DLC.
I mean, yeah, fair. It does still count. But I'm pointing out, like, it's not paid DLC. It's for free.
Oh, it's additional features at no cost.
Yeah, if it's
additional
as our friend Keenan always used to say, if it's for free, it's for me.
Additional features.
Just keep on going.
Very good.
Keep going, y'all.
Play Free Bird. Free Bird.
Returnal.
Yeah, I mean, Returnal's out. I don't think any of us have played it. I definitely want to play it at some point. I remember being so excited for the trailers. I'm like, wow, it's like a Metroid themed, atmosphered.
Yo, if this was a Metroid game,
I mean, I can only hope that Metroid Prime 4 looks this good, but it's not. It's not going to be that good.
I mean, it'll be
on Switch.
It'll be running on the Switch. Yeah, like good luck with that.
Exactly.
There's no chance.
That's actually really depressing. Like, think about how hyped people are for Metroid Prime 4. Like, I've been salivating for years, right? I'm out of water because I salivate so much. And
you become a desert.
There's a hard cap on how good the game can be, and that's because it's on the Switch.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you need limitations to do great things. You know?
Maybe it'll come out after the Switch too.
Maybe it'll be like heavily stylized, like Legend of Zelda was, like a cell shading kind of thing. I hope not. I hope it is stylized, but not like that.
That's not what people want.
I mean, I know it's not what they want.
That's what they gonna get.
Ooh, you know what I want? You know what would be really good? Have you guys seen the trailer for Scorn? Or one of the trailers? We've talked about it recently, I think.
I don't remember that one. I don't by the name.
Scorn is the first person adventure game that's set like it looks like it's inside of a living creature. Like all of the architecture is like fleshy and gross.
I'm drawing a blank.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know this game.
People say that the art is very like H.R. Geiger, like alien kind of architecture, very fleshy and like bones and spinal cords.
Ooh,
Scorn.
I want to see this again.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, you would love it. It's disgusting.
I don't remember it.
They recently released like a new gameplay or some sort of update trailer, and it was incredible. I'm really excited for it. Anyway, if Metroid Prime 4 looked like that, I would crap my pants. That would be so cool.
Is Scorn on Switch?
Oh no.
Oh.
No. I would bet a kidney it's not on Switch.
Just
snap.
Your Switch just absolutely just immediately catches fire. Just
yeah. Well, mine wouldn't because I have an external fan attached to it.
It would just catch fire quicker. That's it. That's all that would happen.
Yeah.
It'll spread the fire around
faster. Yeah, the oxygen would just help it. The external oxygen source.
Just the fan will become a flamethrower.
So the fan is hot.
So this is kind of random, but for some reason, well, not for some reason. I know exactly the reason. So in Returnal, while it was showing the trailer, it put like in a car commercial or on a drug commercial, it puts the little small subtitles giving you like, don't use this if you're stuff like that.
Oh, the disclaimer.
Yeah, so in Returnal, it gave a disclaimer of basically like, oh, you need a PS Plus membership, restrictions apply, stuff like that, right? Well, but recently...
Wait, why do you... Oh, because it's multiplayer.
Yeah, because it's multiplayer. So recently, I don't know if you guys have downloaded it yet on your PS Plus, if you have it currently, but there's a Ghost of Tsushima or whatever.
Tsushima.
Tsushima. I don't honestly know what the name is. Like some kind of like multiplayer version of the game that you can play.
Yeah.
For
it was. I think it was a free update.
So
a free add-on for the game, so we got it for free.
So a weird thing happened.
I gotta download that.
So a weird thing happens that if you own, the game on your PS4, and you get the upgrade so you can get it on PS5 for like cheap, so you pay the $10. If you download this PlayStation Plus game, it like locks you out of your game on the PS5, like
what?
Or something like that. And there's like it's like a weird glitch where because redeeming it in the PlayStation, your PlayStation account, like it's seen as the same thing for some reason, and like you have to like request for PlayStation to undo your library purchase of the PlayStation Plus monthly game thing. So just shout out to anybody who has it, who's done that whole scenario. Do not download the monthly game. I mean, by the time you hear this, it's already gone.
It's too late.
But yeah.
Well, that's not true. People don't necessarily download the games immediately.
Well, no, once you add it, like once you purchase it, like it does. You don't have to even download it. Like once you purchase it, it just messes everything up. So.
Well, yeah, that is too late.
So
you screwed us.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it yet.
So
I blame you personally.
It just reminded me about how like there's the weird thing about games nowadays, and like DLC is awesome and updates are awesome, but like there's these weird like things happening that you have no control over, and like PlayStation, like honestly could just let your game be broken. Like, well, you can't play it anymore because you redeemed. Yeah. Like I don't know. It's just.
I think that's the case in for some games.
Yeah, like some weird online thing. So anyway, that's just reminded me of that thing that happened recently.
I was confused watching the Returnal trailer because at the end they said now introducing multiplayer, but they showed somebody else in game first. Like she said, whoever the name was, she was like, "I'm no longer alone because so and so is with me," and I was like, "Oh, so does this mean when you're going through the game on one of the levels, rather than finding a power up, you can find an NPC that'll come with you?" I was like, that's an interesting roguelike mechanic. But then it was like,
Did they name the person that was with her? I don't remember that.
I want to say she said something along the lines of a name, but I'm not certain.
I don't recall a name, but yeah, I recall what you're saying, Kyle, where she said, like, "Oh, I'm not alone now. I'm so thankful," or whatever. Now we can discover this mystery together, or whatever. Like, I think they were. Yeah, I think they were trying to. I think they were just assuming that you'd get that it was multiplayer, but they were like, in case you didn't.
I was one of those people that didn't.
Let's make it clear that it's multiplayer, not just,
I think this game would be so much fun with multiplayer. I will definitely be trying to force one of you two to play with me if I get this game.
I'll probably convince.
Is it only 2 players?
I don't know.
It looks like it was just 2 players. I didn't see a third player.
Yeah.
Fooey.
Well, I'm going to definitely... After me and Shailene play It Takes Two, and we're playing, of course we're playing Stardew right now, and Cuphead. I would like to play that as well. Returnal seems so cool.
You guys are playing Cuphead?
Yeah, we've beaten quite a few bosses together. So
man, way to go!
Yeah, congrats. That's a lot.
Tough as nails.
Yeah. I think me and Shailene have the same temperament with games, where it's like we don't really care if a game's super hard. Like whatever. It's more just about playing it, Like it's not really about winning per se. Well, no, winning, we're competitive. Yeah. Let me not say that, but we also don't care that much.
It's a balance.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know if Keiichi feels that way.
That's cool.
Ooh.
What was that?
Sorry. I was cracking my knuckles there.
That's not
trying to stave off the inevitable.
I thought his spine just turned backwards. Like, no! Right. Oh, the back of my chair just broke my spine.
I've become a bone monster.
He's just a
Speaking of bone monsters, do you know what our next game is, Brad?
Wait, does it really have to do with bone monsters?
Bone monsters.
If I didn't have the list in front of me, I'd be very confused.
I'm very confused in every possible capacity. Bone monsters?
Also, the name isn't very... good.
Y'all gonna have to give me something else because I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, the hint is of the game. The name of the game is garbage. That's a terrible name.
Oh, well,
it's not Triangle Strategy.
That's a terrible hint. I don't know. I have no clue.
It's me.
It's called. Yes, that's the second hint. It's me.
What?
It was me the whole time. The meme. The quote.
No, I'm still blanking here.
It's called the Diofield Chronicles. Or Chronicles?
I
don't know.
That's the Square Enix game.
Yeah. One of the Square Enix games.
Yeah, we're in the final 2 now.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely don't remember any of the names of these last 2 games, but I remember them.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. So, yes, the Diofield, whatever Chronicles.
Diofield. That's
Yep.
Say that 5 times.
I mean, we can do both at once, right? Well, let me not do that. Does anyone have any thoughts about the Diofield Chronicle? Because I honestly did not recall it.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, you can go first.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it's to me, all I would think in my head is like, just give me Final Fantasy Tactics. Stop making these other games. Like, I don't want this. I want Final Fantasy Tactics. Stop. So
you're gonna have to go there.
So it was a weird like mix. I was like, is this a turn-based real-time game? Like, what is going on? So it's interesting. I just don't know. Like, it might be super duper fun, but like, it's just odd enough that I don't know if I want that in my life, you know? Yeah.
Fair point. But I think in order to get your game, you're going to have to call him. Like, Mr. Enix. May I call you Square?
May I call you Square, sir?
Hello,
please.
Mr. Enix.
I'm done saying
Mr.
please.
Enix was my father.
That's his, they got married, so they kept their maiden name as well. So Square Dash Enix. Like,
Square Dash.
Mrs. Square Enix.
You have to say the dash.
Dash Enix.
I mean, it looks, from what I remember and what I'm seeing online now, it looks like a very beautifully drawn, you know, the classic JRPG. You have fantasy characters that are trying to save the world, and it's kind of like what Fire Emblem has been doing, where you build up your legacy and, you know, make the choices that will make the game plot go brr.
That's what I was going to say too. Very Final Fantasy-y. But the combat was kind of strange. It seemed like it was semi-passive, semi-automatic. I don't know. I don't know how you would say it. Because, yeah, it's like you would chime in to make them do special attacks sometimes. But otherwise, you would just kind of send your units or something.
Yeah, it looked like one of those games where like you set all your commands at the beginning of your turn for all of your characters, and they all act at the same time. Like so. Oh. So
this. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really know how it really plays out, but yeah. Strange.
Yeah. It was.
This is the game that apes the Octopath Traveler / Triangle Strategy art style. But instead of being pixel art, they just aped the diorama, like heavy focus.
And that part looks great.
It looks so good. I love that style.
And the transitions they were making, because it was going from like, you know, I guess they might still do it, I don't know. But when they have like the war maps, they would have the little figures. And so they were transitioning from the representations on the map to the game. And it was beautiful, man. I'm a sucker for miniatures already, but just that seamless transition, I was like, oh man, that was smooth as butter.
It's so interesting because I don't really know Octopath Traveler, but I do know Triangle Strategy because I'm playing.
Oh, you haven't met him?
I don't know him. I know his brother Pentagon.
Mr. Traveler is my father.
Penta Road. I don't know what. Anyway, I was trying to think of synonyms, but you know, it's so funny to me because I was like, this is basically Triangle Strategy because even the premise of the game, like there were 2 kingdoms and they were at war, and then the 3rd kingdom. I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly the same thing as Triangle Strategy.
It seems very similar.
You know, so
people are eating it up though. So if it ain't broke.
I just think it's just the motif for these games because you don't have any other like
what else can you do?
Yeah, like what else are you gonna convince people to kill people mercilessly on a battlefield? You kind of have to have this like kingdom.
It's got to be a war.
Epic tale of war and struggle.
Otherwise, you're just a villain. You're what's his name, Kevin from Home Alone. You're just a mass murderer.
You're Macaulay Culkin.
You either die Marth or you live long enough to become Kevin from Home Alone.
Yeah.
Snap.
So
you can quote me on that. Yeah, and I just want to reiterate that it looks incredible, but man, that title is just garbage.
Yes,
very bad.
Yes.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it makes more sense in the context of the story. What is a Dio field?
It's probably
chronicling it.
It's probably right on the nose.
All right. Let me ask you a question, Steve. Why is Bleach named Bleach?
I don't know. I don't think that's a good reason.
Exactly.
Because the main character...
That's my point. That no, they just be naming these show stuff and naming these games. No. They're just like, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
it's because the main character drank bleach and imagined
and that's
everything.
How he got his power.
That everything that happens afterwards is imagined while he's in a coma.
Does bleach put you in a hallucinogenic coma?
It just kills you.
I think it just kills you.
I don't think there's a medium state. I think you just die.
You might be shutting down like while it's digesting or whatever.
Yeah, painfully,
like
and
while you're having
and
seizures and like vomiting, like
Yeah, so if you're in shock, maybe you're
aspirating.
also in a blissful state and imagining being a samurai who can flash step.
Yeah, maybe as your synapses in your brain just burn off and just yeah, it makes sense.
as you inhale clouds of chlorine.
Just
Definitely a really terrible way to
yes,
die,
yes,
actually.
very, very.
And it also explains the fire in the logo. It all makes sense.
The logo actually is explained in the show. It's the substitute Shinigami pass that he
that he
has.
puts on his self.
No. It's about the bleach.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'll let you. Oh, speaking of weird anime, I forgot who I was talking to. It might have been you guys, but I've been watching Soul Eater for the first time. Kiesh has got me watching it.
Oh yeah, it's Kyle.
And either
Kyle from way back on one of our anime episodes.
Yeah, I like that show.
Yeah, cool. So either you or her or somebody said that, because I know that the art style, I'm pretty sure it was her. Apparently she was making the argument that apparently the Fire Force is set in the same universe as Soul Eater. And I was like, I mean, I think it's made by the same person, but it doesn't seem like the worlds are related at all.
This is not an argument I made.
That's not an argument you made. Okay, so she made that argument. Up until recently, or I'm actually not caught up on Fire Force. I've been watching a bunch of other stuff. When I watched it earlier, I like caught up on what Funimation had and then stopped watching, and then they continued and finished the season. So I was watching a single episode yesterday, and lo and behold, they had a cameo by like one of the 5 characters that I've met so far in Soul Eater. I'm like, are you kidding me?
What?
The one episode I've seen, like the first episode I watched after this conversation.
Got him.
And they explicitly they even have it in the subtitles. It says, Death Scythe speaking, like, and then he talks. And they showed like the back of his head, and he's complaining about his daughter Maki. And I'm like, oh my God.
Get wrecked,
How dare
Steve.
they?
Hey.
I got wrecked.
Somebody told you. Okay, I know this is a side tangent. We're talking about anime, but Fire Force. I just want to say this. I've been told to watch Fire Force, and I started watching the first episode, and I fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was just maybe I was super tired, but
I think it might have been.
It just to me felt so like it felt like it was trying. It felt like it was trying to be cool, and I was like, okay, like, just be cool. Don't try to be cool. Like, I feel like you have a really cool premise, but it's like trying to bring in all these cool characters who do cool stuff, and like this dude who can like it was, I don't know why. It just felt like it was trying too much. Hard. I don't.
It eventually, I think, finds it's cool. The main issue I have with it is that some of the situations where characters make decisions, like plot altering, life altering decisions, some of those situations seem contrived to me. Like, I don't want to spoil anything. There's like a character who has like, she really likes danger. And I'm like, if you just had this conversation with her, then she would help you. But instead, you're saying just the wrong stuff. And now she's not going to help you. It just bothered me.
Those moments.
Yeah, like this, and that happened the one time, and I was like, all right, whatever. And then it happened again a second time, where some character had a specific hang up, very specific issue, and it was causing them to act erratically. And instead of saying the right thing, the main good characters said exactly the wrong thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just stop
the
that.
show
fabricated.
The show feels like it's made for children who like wouldn't notice, like who are like into like really cool looking stuff, and like, like it's
just like Soul Eater.
It's like it's not for the, not to be rude, like more like I don't want to say refined palate
the highbrow intellectual.
Yeah, like somebody who's been
esteemed.
Yeah.
like, it's not for somebody who's been watching a lot of anime. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like
It's not for someone who enjoyed
It's for babies.
Gate.
heroic
Whatever.
AG.
Heroic Age, yes, the classiest anime. No, it does. I think it kind of, like I said, it finds it's cool. The plot is interesting. There's actually like a cool conspiracy that's in, that they find, and all this stuff kind of unfolds over time.
Yeah.
There's a few moments that are just like dope, but in general, yeah, it's just a fun action show with cool powers and big fire and cool. The sound design is incredible.
So I'm about to make one more statement, and then we can get to the final game.
All right,
This is going to be heresy, and I know people are going to hate me for saying this.
Uh-oh.
But
Get your pitchforks ready.
I'm just going to be super real. Demon Slayer is...
Oh, don't say it. Just leave the implication.
no, I'm going to say it.
Don't finish
because
the
if I don't
sentence.
say it, it's going to bother me. I'm going to just say this for my people. I think Demon Slayer is a great show, but I feel like Demon Slayer is not as good as everybody thinks it is. That's just my opinion.
Oh, he said it's all hype, y'all. He said it's all hype.
Okay. I do think the second season was a disappointment to me personally. It looked incredible, but I'm like, as far as the plot and the pacing goes, Kiesha and I were just mad the whole
I haven't
time.
watched the second season. I can only speak of the first season, and I think the first season was like, if I were to like put it on other anime, it's like a 7 or an 8. Like, it's just
Okay.
not touching top echelon, but people talk about it like it's the best anime ever made, and I'm like, y'all must not have seen other stuff, because this is like good. The art is incredible. It's a beautiful anime, but like, it's just not touching nobody. It's just a good anime. I barely can give it great. Barely. I don't even think I can give it great.
I think it's definitely became more mainstream, which probably goes into that feeling of being overhyped.
Because people be talking like it's the greatest, and I'm like, bro, come on, like, y'all watching, like, never mind. Anyway, I just want to put that out there.
All right, last game.
Oh, I already know what this one is, because I'm just gonna say it.
What's it called?
It's called Valkyrie Chronicles.
Nice try.
Nice try.
Valkyrie.
The last one was Chronicles.
No, it's not Valkyrie Profile. Valkyrie.
So it shares the ending with something that begins with disco.
That's weird. That's a weird hint.
But it's true.
It's a Valkyrie game.
I don't know where I know that from.
It's a heaven. It's another word for heaven in a different
Valkyrie.
culture.
Valhalla.
Greek culture.
Oh, I don't know. Valkyrie what?
I wouldn't have known that was Greek.
Elysium.
Yeah. Well,
Or I guess it's not heaven. I guess it's like purgatory. Anyway,
that's a
it's
big
Elysium.
difference.
Well, it's supposed to be like peaceful and like where the warriors go, kind of like a Valhalla kind of thing, but not as glorified as Valhalla. I guess. I don't know, man. I've just consumed
Content.
What's Disco Elysium? Why do I know that?
Disco Elysium is the RPG where you play a drunk detective.
Oh, oops.
My kind of game. Yeah.
I'm for it.
I
will. So that trailer, man. It was a strong opening because she was doing the Naruto run. I about laughed out loud. I couldn't do it because I was sitting by myself, and so I didn't want to just be laughing. But it almost got me.
You know, I'll say that the Valkyrie games have a strong like character design, because I immediately knew that it was Valkyrie. Like, and I've only played one game, Valkyrie Profile, and I was like, "Oh, is this a Valkyrie game?" Like, I just immediately, from the first like 5 seconds of the trailer. So,
Wow,
so
good on them.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh man, they somehow managed to translate this to me. I don't know how, but that was
It's in there.
yeah." You know, I probably would never play it, but hey, good on them.
Made an impact.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked like a random action game. Like,
The gameplay reminded me of Nino Kuni.
oh really?
Yeah,
Did it?
yeah. Just I guess the locomotion was pretty standard, but then the combat, I guess, like the lock-on system as well as, and it was just like a feeling thing. Like maybe the inputs are different, maybe the combo system is different, but it looked like the combat in Ni no Kuni to me. Like whereas it's kind of slow, I guess, and you can see kind of everything. I don't know. It's kind of hard to place it, but that's the vibe I got from it. Art style is completely different.
Yeah, it has cool dragons and stuff.
Yeah, so from an art perspective and characters, no, I was completely different. But like from a game feel, it felt like Ni no Kuni.
Feel combat.
At least Ni no Kuni 2. I haven't played the first one.
Feel combat style.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I just realized like Elysium is from Greek mythology, but then Valkyries are part of Norse mythology. So I wonder which one they're going with. I guess probably the Norse, since that's the name of the series, right?
Yeah, I honestly do not know that. I actually didn't, when I was in school, we didn't cover mythology really, ever. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I didn't have a mythology class till college. And
I mean, I didn't have a class. It just came up a lot in English.
Like we never, like the only people I knew who did like that were in, I think, AP. Lit. No, did I take AP Lit? I think I did. It wasn't AP Lit. It might have been something else.
I doubt you took AP Lit. You can't even read.
This man got jokes. I can read your failure on your face.
That is your...
Anyway, continue.
That is your joke. Don't come after me. I'm repeating.
I've never said I can't read. Joke. I'm a studious. Those are lies.
I will find witnesses.
You can find witnesses.
I bet people listening right now
find it recorded anywhere. There's no proof.
Super Agile Nations comb
it's
the internet
right here. Super Agile.
Said it. You said it. You
said it too.
You got to prove it.
Have you?
Like eyewitnesses are not very reliable. You know.
Yeah.
Hey man, that's biblical. That's good enough.
You're really gonna trust someone else's eyes
to hear?
Yeah. How do you know what words he said with your eyes?
Yeah. You can't read lips. You can't even read.
I mean, so this game looks cool to me. If I had time, it would be like on the bottom probably of my mid-tier game
Would it be above Ghostwire Tokyo or below it?
No. Below for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not this lifetime. Okay.
Forspoken.
Probably. Is it above Forspoken? I think it's a little bit below Forspoken. It's like a lot below Ghostwire. It's a little bit below Forspoken. But I don't know if I'd be willing to finish Forspoken.
It does look like it's going to be a long game.
A lot of narrative. Okay. Is it below NBA 2K?
Yes. It's above. No, sorry. I misheard you. It's above NBA 2K.
Below.
You got me.
Like you said below. Okay.
All right.
So how about JoJo? Where's JoJo?
Oh my god.
The fighting game? I think it's above the fighting game.
That game, it doesn't seem like it's gonna be good.
It's below the anime, but it's above the fighting game.
Like if somebody said, "I want you to choose a game to play," you'd be like JoJo, and they're like, "Oh, you want the fighting game?" No. I will play the anime.
I'm just gonna watch them fight.
Like snap! Like it's that low. One dude over there playing NBA 2K just mad. Like
One dude playing JoJo, man.
Man, I'm unsubscribing from these fools.
If only they loved JoJo as much as I did, I could beat them at their own game.
Does JoJo have an NBA related or basketball related episode?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't even think it has the baseball episode that every show.
Yeah, the Japanese baseball, but it'll be a Hamon covered baseball in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be bouncing soap bubbles around or something.
Just
foolishness.
Utter foolishness. So what do you guys think? What we're talking about my game list. What is the most hype for you guys?
Out of this conference?
Oof.
Yeah. Either new games or,
I'll have to say, just from the selection, Returnal is at the top.
Really? The DLC for the already released game was more hype than any other game on this list?
For me, yes. I was already interested in it, but then nothing else really overshadowed that. Everything else I'm just still really shaky on. If I'm interested at all. Exoprimal is probably the closest next, but Returnal for sure. Top.
The JoJo anime, like dead honest, like nothing.
The anime or the fighting
anime.
game?
Like honestly, nothing.
Like nothing on the list.
Like honestly, nothing on the list. Like I think I said this earlier. If I never saw this, I don't think my life would be any different. So I just feel like some of these
no value here.
like literally, I feel like it was just there's nothing there that like there's games that I feel less bad about, like Forspoken, or like somewhat interested in like I wonder what it's gonna be like, but like nothing here, like nothing I would pay for, nothing.
Yeah,
like even Forspoken, like. It would be so hard for me to convince myself, even if it got 9s and 10s for me to buy it. It's just bad taste in my mouth. So no, there's nothing literally.
Okay.
Is interesting.
What if if these games were all on Game Pass? Which one would you play first? Not Game Pass, sorry, PS.
The problem is it would be none of them, but you're actually narrowing me to only these games.
Only these.
No. You can play other games too, but I'm saying which of these games would you play? Okay,
I have so many other PS Plus games that are in my backlog.
All right.
Like, maybe the only game that I would actually literally consider playing is the Dio, whatever the stupid name was. Dio's magnetic field, whatever it's called, because it's the only game like that might scratch some type of itch that I don't get from but I'll just no, like, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Kyle?
If they were all free-ish, like
excluding Returnal, because Returnal is like unfair.
Yeah. I'd probably download Exoprimal. I don't know if I'd play it.
And then delete it when there's no space for another game.
Yeah. Like I'd intend to play it and maybe Gigabash for like 30 minutes, but only just because they're available and they came out, today. Mm-hmm. But
sure.
None of the games on this list do I feel like I want to pay for.
Yes,
I think I would pay for Ghostwire Tokyo. I do intend on paying for Returnal eventually. I do want to play that. That's the top of my list, but that doesn't really count.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I agree that it's not a really great list. I mean, well, here's another question, really briefly. What, other than your personal opinions, like what games do you think will do well, like in general in the public?
I think
what's going to blow up?
I think Ghostwire
will do well.
I think Forspoken.
Yeah, it might.
I don't feel that way. I feel like it's a hit or miss. If the game is a 10, it'll do well. If it's an 8, 9, like if it's like an 8, a decent game, I think it's gonna just be.
It definitely depends.
I don't think it's gonna do well. I don't think it's gonna be a 10. I think that at best it'll be well received, and then if it's not well received, it's gonna flop.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, it has to.
And it'll either flop quietly or with memes. Two ways.
It's gonna end somebody's career. It
depends. I think it depends on what they do with like early release copies and stuff. Because right now it seems like people like it's garnering a favorable reputation. So if it just comes out, I feel like a lot of people will buy it day one just because it's got a little bit of hype behind it.
I think Exo Dino will be a cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll be a game that does well,
like a Monster Hunter,
but it won't be. It's kind of like Dead Rising is like a really popular game, like kind of sorta, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like people, they've had 4 games now, but not that many people I personally know have played Dead Rising, but it's really kind of popular, So, so Exo Dino or whatever it's called.
That's a much better name than Exoprimal. In my opinion.
Primal. Yes. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna let you keep saying.
I knew it wasn't right, but I just didn't care to try to think of what the real name was, because, it's just like what.
No, it makes more sense because they are fighting dinosaurs. Or I guess
Primal, because there's a game called Primal something, a fighter, where you are dinosaurs. So
yeah,
that must be dino related, I guess.
There's that Adult Swim show called Primal with no script or no dialogue.
Really? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, it's about a caveman and his pet. I don't know, dinosaur.
Also, that type of
Primal.
And it's like, yeah, it's all violence and action and slow moving scenes as well.
There's a movie called Primal Fear. It's like a thriller.
Oh,
about dinosaurs?
No, I think it's with like, is that the one with Jack Nicholson? No, it's somebody famous, isn't it? Somebody,
like an actor,
like an actor you would know. You know,
does it have actors in it?
It has actresses as well, and a dog.
No
I
kidding.
think. I think it has a dog.
Dogs are the best actors.
All right. I'm gonna let's go ahead and call it, boys.
I could do this all day, son.
Yeah, that's the problem. So I'm gonna rein it in. So I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you to our esteemed listeners, part of the Super Agile Nation.
You are the best.
We don't like you.
Thank you for all of... Very well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the comments that we get and the messages that we get. Thanks to those of you who are on our Discord for giving us feedback. We got some feedback recently, and we had a conversation. It was a good time. That sounds much more ominous than it was. It wasn't terrifying. Anyway, I want to thank everyone, all our friends and family, for being part of this. I want to thank you, Kyle.
Always a pleasure.
And yeah, it's you. You're the one. Yeah. And I want to thank you, Brad, as well.
You know what it is. Having to age out with it up. Hey, people out there in the world, love you.
I want to thank you for being on the show and for the $600 you're going to give me. For
$600?
Yes. It'll be coming.
His rates have increased.
It'll be coming from Marcus's account. So just
oh, yeah.
Hey, shout out to Marcus in the chat.
He still owes me $20. So.
It's accrued interest.
And now it's $20.20. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll be doing more episodes next week. And you can find us on Spotify, on YouTube, on SoundCloud, on Stitcher, Apple Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at the SAB Podcast. And did I miss anything, Brad? And what do you think? How'd I do?
That was good.
I mean, that's everything for the most part. Hey, just search us, the Super Agile Bros on Google, and you'll find us. We're there.
Don't Google my name. Just go ahead and don't do that. And with that, last final warning, play me out.